Good day, students. You are welcome to our business study class. I am Ajayi Sadiq Abdullah, and our topic of discussion is communication. Now, first, the topic outline. Today, our topic is centered on the meaning of communication, the means of communication, classification of means of communication, and importance of communication. Now, the objective of this class. The objective of this class, at the end of this class, you should be able to define communication. You should be able to state the classification of means of communication. You should be able to mention importance of communication in business. Now, what is communication? Communication is the process of exchanging information or ideas between two or more individuals or groups. Communication is the process of exchanging information or ideas between two or more individuals or groups. Now, let's look at the means of communication. Now, there are many and various means of communication, but what does it mean by means of communication? Means of communication refers to the tools and technology which facilitate for exchanging information, ideas, opinions between people and organizations of different places. When information is shared between two persons or more, when ideas is shared between two persons or more, the process in which this information is shared, the means, the tools and technology that has been used is referred to as the means of communication. For instance, if you are to listen to news through the television, the process in which the news is being passed across and the means in which you get that information is referred to as the means in which that information gets to you. Or for instance, you read about the news from the newspaper. All these are referred to as the tools and technology involved in sharing and exchanging of information. Now, the office of business uses a suitable means of communication to pass a particular message. Now, information exchanging is passed by selecting a suitable means of communication. We don't just use any means of communication. If you want information and your communication with the people or the person to be effective, then you must select a suitable means of communication. Now, in business, the right means of communication is selected according to the availability and suitability of the means of communication. Now, let's look at the classification of the means of communication. Classification of the means of communication. Means of communication is classified into three, and these are: we have the oral communication, we have the written communication, we have the symbolic and non-verbal communication. Right? These are the three means classification of the means of communication. Now, let's take the first, which is the oral communication. Oral communication is the process of exchanging ideas and information by word of mouth. When information is passed using mouth, this is called oral communication. It verbally transmitted the ideas and information from one individual or group to another. The following are some of the important means of oral communication. We have the telephone, we have the radio and television, we have the other includes loudspeakers, dictaphone and messengers, and many others. These are examples of oral communication. Now the second classification, we have the written communication. Now this refers to information that is passed by various written documents. Any information that is passed through a written document is referred to as written communication. The important means of written communication are as follows. We have the telegram, we have the fax, we also have the use of electronic mail, which is called email. We also have the use of internet. All these are examples of written classification of the means of communication. Also, we have letters and we have the telex. These, and lastly, the postal service. All these are examples of written means of communication. Now, let's take the last type of the classification of the means of communication, which is the non-verbal or symbolic communication. What does it mean? This means that information or ideas is exchanged by using different symbols carrying definite meaning, which is quite familiar to all. When an information is passed using different symbols, and these symbols have a meaning in which it is known to people, is referred to as non-verbal or symbolic communication. Among them, we have the red, yellow, and green traffic lights of crossing road is also refers to one of the examples of the non-verbal and symbolic communication. We also have period bell used by educational institutions. For instance, in schools, you can see during the break time, when the student hears the bell, they know what the bell stands for. And likewise, call bell used by executive of an office. In an office or an organization, we have call bell, in which anytime the bell rings, then the workers in that organization understand what it stands for. All these are means of non-verbal symbolic communication. We have also the facial expression of fear, anger, emotion, sorry, surprises reflected by human beings. All these are non-verbal means of communication. Gestures, signs, and symbols, they are also among the non-verbal means of communication. Now, let's look at the importance of the means of communication. The first one is, we shall take the communication is the basic of organizational functioning. Communication is the basis of organizational functioning. No organization can function without any of the use of these means of communication. 2. It facilitates effective planning. For a plan to be effective, then there must be a means of communication. Likewise, it helps in proper decision making. For decision to be made, then there must be the use of communication. You can see how important communication is. It facilitates coordination. Now, in a business or an organization, for people to be coordinated and for them to be well planned and utilized, therefore communication must be effective. Now also, we have effective communication improve motivation and morale. And lastly, we have it helps in creating good industrial relations. So these are among the importance of communication. Also, to add to that, good communication leads to good public relations. You relate with people if you can communicate effectively. So we shall be stopping here, but before we go, I would like you to take the following assignment. What is communication? Mention the classification of the means of communication, and lastly, state 3 importance of communication in business. Thank you.